Within the School of Architecture and Built Environment, we've been particularly interested when we've been working in Orkney, not only on the buildings and the kind of technology of the buildings, but also on the cultural and social heritage of the islands. So we've been particularly working with people in Kirkwall and Stromness, alongside our colleagues in the University of the Highlands and Islands, where we've been able to look at archaeology and the kind of built heritage of these towns as well. So it's been exciting to us because in the past few years we've started to experiment with the use of technology like laser scanning and building 3D virtual models using photographs. And anybody who's visited Stromness or Kirkwall will know that the buildings were not necessarily designed along straight geometrical lines. There are a lot of kind of interesting undulations in the buildings and the landscape and so on. And a lot of these new technologies allowed us to capture these buildings in a way that maybe allowed us to look at them with fresh eyes. But we also found that when we were working with people in and from the islands themselves, that they were maybe able to look at the buildings with fresh eyes as well. One of the first things that we did was to go to Stromness, where we initially undertook some laser scanning of that kind of really interesting winding street, where we moved from the Stromness Hotel and then we tried to move down as far as we could, and we eventually ended up at Stromness Museum. And I think that was quite exciting to us because we were kind of pushing the boundaries, I think it's fair to say, of what the technology was actually capable of, but we were then also able to produce really nice videos where we were almost kind of flying down in between this canyon of buildings, you know. One of the things that we discussed with our colleagues up at UHI as well was that we were also managing to capture that kind of hustle and bustle of the street as well. So one of the things that we made no effort to do was to delete people or cars or seagulls or that kind of activity taking place in the street, because although we're from a school of architecture, people may be surprised to learn that we're also interested in people and how people use buildings and how people use environments. So that was really nice. During one of our later visits to Stromness, we were then able to arrange visits for members of the public to come along and see sort of demonstrations of the laser scanning and understand what it is that we're actually collecting and what this maybe looks like. And I personally found that to be the kind of most exciting part of the project, I think, because it allowed us to be able to say to people, I should stress, not aren't we clever and aren't we fancy. It was almost like we were stressing to people, this is actually advanced technology, but it's allowing us to capture things that are genuinely important to people and are genuinely important within people's lives. I think that why the research is hopefully going to be important to people is now starting to emerge, and this has really happened primarily through our really nice work that we've done with the University of the Highlands and Islands, where on the back of the work that we did in Stromness, we were then with our colleagues in UHI approaching members of the public and asking them what would they like us to scan next. And what was really exciting to us was that people didn't necessarily get back to us and say St Magnus Cathedral or kind of grade A listed buildings and so on. People were talking much more about like interesting trees or interesting artifacts in the middle of town or locations where they maybe met their partner many years ago. So more recently, I think we've tried to use the technology to really kind of engage with members of the public, and personally I would like that to be the next stage of the work.